Niels. You can stay on the...
I'll stay.
Please, you can stay if you can unlock your laptop. We're going to now have a small panel. I'd like to call 2 additional guests. Recalling Willem, please come back on stage. We're getting some chairs over here. I'm going to block your laptop. I don't mind. I'd like to call, first of all, as I explained, we're going to have, as I explained initially, what we're aiming to do. We're going to have a small final panel. As I explained, we'd like to combine industry, science, etc. So, and I invited Yonatan Alexander. He's from Lasso Security. That's a small startup in security, of course, and AI. Welcome, Yonatan. I also would like to invite Onno Zoeter. Where is he? Welcome here. Welcome, Onno. Please grab a mic. The 2 other guests already have a mic. Yeah. Onno's from Booking.com. He's AI lead over there. Has a lot of experience in AI as well. Been working in AI, has his PhD from Nijmegen in AI. Has a lot of knowledge about the topic. So let's hit it off. Let's see, I got a slide that I should be presenting. Oh, there it is. It can go. Yeah, you can put a slide back up on the screen. In the meantime, I get some questions over here. Let's kick it all off. The first question I have, and let's start with you, Onno, going from left to right. In your area of expertise, what's the biggest misconception regarding AI?
Well, I think we're in a phase where maybe there's not that much misconception. There may be 2 things to say. So one thing is there's a lot of focus on Gen AI. If I look at the biggest money-making applications of AI machine learning, they're from the previous gen. So predicting return on investment on, as we bid billions of dollars on our online advertisement, or preventing fraud or optimal discounts. So if you run a company or you consult for a company, make sure that those opportunities are not missed as everybody's attention is on Gen AI. Second aspect is there is a risk. The hype is about as high as it can get. We brace ourselves for some disappointment, which might then not be justified. And so as we ride this hype wave, be mindful of how you invest so that you don't scale up to a 100-person team before you have product market fit and so on. So be smart. So I think everybody is understanding that this will hit the world. It will hit everything. Everybody needs to be testing and exploring. But there's an art in doing that efficiently to brace yourself and not fall into the gap of disappointment.
Great, thanks. Willem?
The biggest misconception, I think, is the idea that it will be exponential forever. And that's, I think, a bit in line with what was just said. So the expectations are high. And I mean, you see it's going extremely fast. And especially, I don't think there was any other technology that was picked up so fast as generative AI. So that gives kind of expectation that this will go on and on and on. So it's not going on, but it's going fast for a long time. And I see a little bit of a parallel with Moore's law. Moore's law is going on for quite a while as well, and it will go on for quite a while as well. But there's one caveat here, and that's the investments that are needed, because they will normally also follow such an exponential curve. So that also runs the risk that AI will be, in the end, if we keep going on like this, will be a toy of the rich. And I think what we need to do is find out different architectures to work on AI so that we can scale down on this ever-growing investment that you need in computation and whatever. And, well, you're working on part of that.
Thank you very much. Niels, what's your
Yeah, I think many people have a misconception about AI because they feel it's like magic. And it is a little bit like magic, actually, if you look at... So I also see it as my goal to educate people about this and to know what you can do with AI and where you have to be careful. And I think there's a task for all of us to do that and to make sure that we keep responsible, to keep the use of AI responsible.
Definitely. Yonatan?
I will continue the pessimistic view that it's not going to grow exponentially and become all this dark magic. I think we tend to kind of, when we can't explain some of it, try to give it how are we solving this problem and imagine it does what we think, but it's a completely different type of intelligent. So many of the expectations we have about how it works and what it will do are failing us eventually. And although they are definitely impressive at what they're doing, I agree that it would be very difficult, especially with the type of algorithms we have today, to exponentially growth from this point onwards for a longer period of time.
Thank you very much. Next question for you, Niels. What one advice would you give students starting out in AI, knowing what you know now? The field has changed. What one advice would you give them?
Well, come to Groningen, and
Thank you.
no, but I think it's our responsibility to make our education future-proof, and this is a challenge because we don't know exactly what the future needs. But we can see that there are certain things that remain important all the time. To have a strong foundation in mathematics, because AI is becoming more mathematical all the time, and to focus on your basic skills, because the technology moves very fast. And of course, when I was a student, I didn't have anything about. Well, I figured out neural networks myself because there was no course on it. But I had the necessary formal tools from my education to be able to understand it and to sort of say, like, well, given my education, I can master these things myself. And this is what we have to think about when we teach students, that we say, like, well, we have to provide them with a toolbox so that they can keep up with things. Because we cannot predict what they will need in the future, but we have to be able to give them the right tools.
Good. Great answer. Thank you very much. Onno, question for you. What do you think is the most exciting development in AI at the moment?
Well, maybe echoing the talk. So one thing that I think is so super elegant is that for a very long time when we were thinking of artificial intelligence, the systems did not have a world knowledge. They didn't have common knowledge. And you had old projects of psych, of using logic to hand code and put that in somewhere, and it was very costly and very clunky. And what I thought was so brilliant, that if you have machine learning just next word prediction, that by having a system that does ever and ever better next word prediction, grammar comes in, semantics comes in, world understanding comes in. And so the last time I saw ChatGPT make a grammatical or spelling mistake, I can't remember. And I think that is just so impressive. And if you look back in all the attempts on how people try to get about this, the strength of getting back propagation and next word prediction and then feeding it with all the written text is just, I think it's super elegant, and it has blown all that stuff out of the water. And then when you think of, okay, now text has gone in, video, speech. And so of all the things, so if we want to stay hungry, what does this now cannot do? So be, eager. So maybe control, We can try from very young age, if we look at how infants develop, maybe that's next, So try and see, if we extrapolate this from Chat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's an area we need to pursue, but what is the thing next?
Yeah.
I'm looking in this, I think that's super exciting.
Cool, very good to hear. Another question for you, Yonatan. What do you think of the state of the tooling at the very moment in AI? I mean, I know you're a practical guy. You build these things. What do you think of the quality, the state of the tooling at the very moment?
Well, it's a lot of fun. So you can go for much greater length with much less, and it's both. It's a two-way sword. Because on one hand, you can go and do things that you couldn't do before. You can program much more sophisticatedly. You can use agents to build tools that you don't completely understand. But then on the other hand, you don't completely understand. And you find that it can hurt you when you look at big pictures. And it also can hinder your own personal development. So you run through and write a lot of code, and you don't get the same kind of feedback that you would do if you would do it by yourself. So, and I think it's also related to what we talked about earlier, about what people will have to focus on. And I think this type of critical thinking, working slowly, breaking down tasks, which we always say in interviews that that's what we want, but we still hire the person you like. So I think those type of things are going to be crucial. It was a joke. We actually hire always the right people. But I think it is some of the qualities that will make a huge difference when people are going to become more professional in the future, especially as data will become more generated and facts are going to be a bit more messy, and those AI models are going to be more biased to the needs of the companies who do them. And then if you can ask the right questions and really go into the right sources and kind of take what's relevant and be very skeptical, but still be very fast and rigorous about it, I think those are the type of things that are very important.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then a more local, regional question. I'm not going to ask you, Willem, because I know you're going to say yes, but I'm going to ask you, Niels. Is Groningen the right spot to build an AI hub nationally, as Willem suggested? Does it have everything it takes?
Well, we certainly have the ambition, and I think that's the important thing. We have lots of space. We have this AI factory initiative. I talked to Ronald Stolk yesterday evening, and he's still very positive about it. Apparently, now it's up to the politics to make decisions. So, that's now we get into the dangerous stage. But all the earlier hurdles have been cleared.
Yeah.
And this can be really a booster for other initiatives as well. Yeah, I think we could take up that mantle. And of course, well, it's always hard to say like, well, we want to be a center in the north because there are many competitors for this. And yeah, but I think the ambition is there.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
Of course, we're as AiNed, we're of course aiming to help in that respect. What I'm interested in, Onno, question for you is that we heard Niels said there's about 700 students at the moment doing AI and computer science, possibly.
Yeah, we lifted the number of fixes not for next year. So that might
next
be a
year
lot
it'll
more.
be. How much will it be next year? It will be 700.
Well, we don't know because they still have to sign up, but there's no limitation anymore. So.
Okay. Knowing, having heard your story, Onno, of course, from Booking.com, you're a big company. You're looking for these people. Is that enough? Or are we on the right scale? Or will AI take over and we'll have more, too many AI specialists? What's your feeling? Oh, there he goes. I'm going to save him. Give an answer, please. Aye.
So recruitment is always going in waves, where there are phases where nobody can get enough. There are phases when people have overeaten and then they all realize collectively that they have overhired.
Yeah.
So there are these periods. I still think that in the Netherlands it's amazing that we grow so much amazing talent. We, I think as a company, have a very nice place for people getting into the field to get real honest feedback. And I think it's great that headquarters of a company that is leading in its area as its headquarters in the Netherlands. And in terms of will the Gen AI replace all the jobs? I don't think so. But it will be, the jobs will be for those people that maximally use Gen AI. And so that's, won't replace, but it will become a different thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Last question round for the panel. If there's any question from the audience, if you have a question, think of it, then raise your hand. Final question for the round here. Yonatan, first one for you. If you have to name one tool that everybody here in the audience should have a look at after this meeting, after this conference, what would you say it would be? Don't mention your company, that's only required.
I'm trying to think about something that it's not obvious that everyone has already tried. Okay, I will go with something like TrueLens, and this is a package for monitoring. So I think one of the missing keys in a lot of the development I see in AI is that you go ahead and you run ahead and you don't know exactly what you're doing and you hope for the best at every single step. So I'm not saying it's the single best tool and most important one, but to think about the different feedback you get from your models at every stage of the application where you're using them, talking about focusing on LLM in my answer, then I think that's something you should keep a keep in mind early on. So that's my suggestion.
Repeat the name. It was?
TrueLens, but any other observability and kind of observability tool for LLMs and LLM applications and agents and so on.
Good. Thank you very much. Niels, if there's one paper that everybody here in the audience should read, which, and you can't mention your own papers.
No, I'm not that vain, but yeah, there's one paper that is about sort of connecting deep learning to also the human cognitive architecture. It has a whole, all those usual suspects are authors. The title escapes me at the moment, but I can send it to you if you want.
We can hit you up after the meeting, of course, and then we'll let you.
Sure.
Thanks very much, Willem. If there's one grant that everybody should take a look at, and then which one would that be?
Well, if you are after money, I would say try to earn it from your customers and don't go after grants.
Wise advice, thank you. Thank you. And then to kick it off, the final, Onno, if you want to go on a holiday, where should we book?
Groningen, of course.
There you go. If there's any questions from the audience, give it a panel a big hand, please. There's one question. Taatgen.
Yeah, so I have a two-part question, first to Willem, then to Niels. Willem, you said probably the exponential growth is going to plateau or slow down at some point. We've already been seeing that in the LLM pre-training area. The performance gains we're seeing is not as big as the previous generation compared to the previous generation. But also with the new, let's say, the releases of reasoning models, then we're seeing new type of scaling laws, new type of linear performance go up graphs for reasoners, which we don't see a plateau for them yet. Do you think with also the scientific advancements that are going to come, we're going to see like new and new scaling laws, and even maybe not exponentially, but linearly the capabilities are going to go up? And with Niels, I want to say, you said that, yeah, I'm also a graduate of Rug AI. I also learned about good old-fashioned AI. We used to think about stuff from a cognitive model perspective. We used to always get inspired by the human brain. Do you think that we can connect, just like you said in the paper you mentioned, which you don't remember, like the new improvements, like the new deep learning models, the large language models, but also as modules in a symbolic AI system modeled after a cognitive architecture?
Thank you. There's two questions. So, first, Willem.
Yeah, so the first question was about are there different ways of scaling if you can't go exponential? I think look at what happens in the semiconductor industry. So on the one hand, there is of course Moore's law, but on the other hand, the answer is architecture, multi-core. And if you translate that into AI, then you get AI at the edge. You get AI agents combining. You get systems where you integrate AI systems with traditional fact checkers, for example. So I think that the answer is, on the one hand, okay, this growth will go on, but architecture and different architectural setups will also help to further increase the performance.
Niels, second question.
Yeah, so your question about sort of can the human cognitive architecture tell us something about how we should proceed with AI? And I think yes, because what we see in human intelligence, and of course models of human intelligence, is that it's a reasoning process where you have a certain state of the problem and you reason about certain steps in there. That's also, could say, in extreme is that this is what Deep Blue did with chess. But we do reason ahead. We do have goals, we have intentions, and we plan for those. And this may take several reasoning steps. We have to make decisions about what we retain in memory and what not. And these reasoning steps are all important for us. And I think that is also where you see a lack in artificial systems. And I think the next step we need to do is sort of say, well, we shouldn't construct this knowledge as a top-down exercise, but we should have a discovery system where we say, like, well, the system has to discover the knowledge for doing new tasks. And you have to start sort of at very small elementary things, like having a developmental trajectory, where you say, like, well, we first train the system on very simple things. And those are the building blocks for increasingly larger problems. And to sort of have a learning trajectory is very similar to human education, as opposed to sort of just training a system on predicting the next word.
And on that great insight, I would like to give the panel a warm thanks and give a big hand. Thank you very much. I got a speaker t-shirt.